Good morning, viewers, and welcome to another Onside SA Soccer Show. Paul is recovering from his knee operation that he had yesterday, so joining me as usual is Manning Rangers League winner and our super sub, Gavin Radford. Gavin?
Morning, Budge. In a very good mood this morning. I think everybody knows why.
Why is that?
So I thought there was a bit of a virus outside, but it's actually Liverpool supporters.
Liverpool supporters,
with their heads down. You can pick them out quite easily.
So a good 4 day. I think it's Man United's best 4 days of the season so far.
Yeah, I think just going to the game, I think Liverpool maybe got a little bit of stage fright towards the end of the game last night. Didn't play to their potential. It looked like they were panicking a little bit at the end. But a very good performance from Atletico Madrid. You've got to give them credit.
Yeah.
Going to Anfield after what happened to Barcelona last year, they definitely had a plan and it paid off.
Well, you change goalkeepers as one result. I thought Robertson's header hit the crossbar was the change. But without Alisson, you know, they've had Mignolet, they've had Costas Karius, and you saw the 80 million's worth of goalkeepers missing last night.
Yeah,
and the second goal was crucial.
100%.
But anyway, on to the bright side, especially for us United fans. Our last one standing went into week 5 where we had 36 entries going through. 25 progressed. The people that went out, Wolves, who had 9 people, and Southampton, who unfortunately had a player sent off, which cost them dearly. The number of picks. We've got Greg Veal, Powers, and Dean Moody, all with 2 entries still going. But don't be too confident, boy. There's plenty of lurkers laying in behind, namely our leading lady, Renee Roos. We've got Gareth Parsons, Alon Kruger from Investec, Vivian Mudley, Nikesha Joda, Richard Pillay, Grant Fraser. But strangely, we have 2 former winners still going, namely Guillaume Nel and Henry Nordi. Guys, Saturday, 10 o'clock, the pressure is mounting. Get studying. We're now going to go across to our UK correspondent, Stevie Brahm, who's he's at home today. He's carrying a little bit sick. Morning, Steve. How you going?
Yeah, not too bad, thanks, Budge. Morning, Gav.
Morning.
All right, Steve, you've got to kick off with this coronavirus. I see there's 2 games postponed in the Europa League tonight.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's understandable, obviously, with what's going on in Italy, particularly, and also Spain.
Yeah.
You just sort of think that, people's health has got to be more important than a game of football.
Yeah.
Whether, when these games are going to get played again, at the moment, every league is in doubt in Europe. Though some have been suspended, some are being played behind closed doors. There's a government meeting today to discuss next steps, and I don't think we're far away from matches being played behind closed doors in the UK. Who knows if the seasons are going to finish at this stage? And I think it's unprecedented, and therefore, whether they've ever had plans for this, I think they're having to sort of make things up as they go along.
Yeah, and what would happen to Liverpool if the Premiership doesn't finish? Will they give them the trophy? Or?
Well, yeah, this is a very good. I mean, look, if Man City would have played last night and not won, they could have won it almost without playing. But you think that they would probably end up playing sufficient games, maybe behind closed doors, or postponing for a while. I think they're going to win the league. I think that would top off a pretty awful season if for some reason it got abandoned at this late stage. But I think maybe only the United fans are hoping for that. I think everybody else thinks that they probably deserve it. So
yeah, I don't see there's much problem, but it's the Champions League, Europa League, and also the relegation fight. I think that's more of a problem rather than Liverpool winning the league.
It's there's all sorts of, I read somewhere yesterday they're saying at the point the season was stopped, you sort of draw a line there and say that's it. But you can imagine the sort of legal ramifications of a team was relegated who happened to be in the bottom 3 with still 6 games to go.
Yeah.
There's so much money at stake, but ultimately, I think. But we're going to come to a point in time, and we've just had this with Arsenal players self-isolating. There are going to be footballers, as I understand, Rigatoni regarding in Juventus has tested positive. A number of football clubs, footballers will test positive, and therefore the squads are going to have to self-isolate. So they won't be able to play anyway. So I just think at the moment you almost sort of think, should they just be looking to self-isolate and stop the season in a week or two, like they're doing in other parts of Europe?
No, it's not good news.
Last man standing could go on a long time if these matches don't finish.
Talking of last man standing, I watched Spurs the other night. How long do you think Mourinho's got left at Spurs?
Well, I think ultimately, there's nothing much he could do about that run of injuries. But I mean, they were completely toothless, and I know they were missing play, but they just looked, it didn't matter what they did; they were never going to turn that tie around. Yeah. And I think that finishing the top four is going to be highly questionable for them now, whatever happens for the rest of the season.
Yeah, Liverpool last night, a little bit unlucky.
They completely dominated for that first 96, 97 minutes. But there are a number of things. I mean, they seem to be rushing a lot. I mean, they had that one goal. They were desperate to get the second. They missed chances. Some of those chances that Mane or Salah would have taken in previous matches. But ultimately, I heard you say before, it comes down to not having a reliable understudy goalkeeper. Yeah. When you think that clubs at the size of Liverpool say they've got cover in every position, but they just haven't got a good enough substitute goalkeeper. Yeah. And ultimately, he was found. He could have cost them a goal in normal time, but in that kick and the way his positioning, I thought his positioning for the goal, for the first two goals, was poor. Yeah. And ultimately, Liverpool paid the price. I think there was a little bit of game management. I think that they lacked, because they're 2-0 up on the night. They didn't have to chase that third goal. I know that they obviously wanted. They didn't have to. They could have thought, right, we've got this tie now. Let's close the game out. Yeah. And they went chasing and they got caught. And I felt for them because they put a huge amount of effort in. But at the end, they were completely spent, and you could see it in their faces with about 5-6 minutes to go that they knew they couldn't turn the tie around.
Yeah, that's true. Now, how do you think they're going to react or respond to Monday night's local derby against Everton?
Well, I think it's going to be tough for them, because obviously with the worry of everything that's going on, I think they're going to feel that they have to win that game. They've got to go all out and win, because as we said, the season could end prematurely, and they're only 2 wins away. So I think they'll go for it. But Everton aren't going to make it easy for them. They're not going to just roll over. So it's going to be a tight game. I think if they can get their heads right, I think they should go there and get a result. But Everton, as we know, are a much tougher opposition. But they were, having watched Everton at Chelsea, I mean, they were really poor at the weekend. And I think Ancelotti would be looking for a reaction from them, because that wasn't an acceptable performance. But it may well be Monday could be the last game played in the Premier League in front of crowds. I mean, we'll know today, I think.
Yeah, okay. Talking of Chelsea, they steamrolled Everton, as you say. Should they steamroll Aston Villa?
I think they could go there and get a result. They seem to have turned a corner slightly. I was very impressed with their performance. Yeah. Even though obviously Tammy Abraham's out, they just seem to show a bit more desire, and certainly the performance against Liverpool in the cup as well. Villa are really struggling. I mean, once they conceded that second goal at Leicester, I think they just wanted the game to end, because they could have. And Leicester played some lovely football, but Villa looked really poor at the back, and I think Dean Smith is under a lot of pressure. I'm not sure the rationale of the papers are saying that if they lost, he could get sacked. At this late stage, I'm not sure anyone new coming in would change it, but they definitely looked a shambles at the back, Villa.
Yeah, it's strange, especially when you've got John Terry, one of England's finest defenders, working there. Surely he's got to be doing some work, but I agree with him.
But then I guess it's a bit different, sort of playing it and
telling it,
coach it.
Okay, and one team that's rebounded quite nicely, I think they were lucky last weekend, is Arsenal. I know they're on the cusp of the European places. You see them beating Brighton?
Yeah, I mean, this is interesting. I mean, obviously the game was postponed last night. A number of the Arsenal players are self-isolating, so they're having a little bit of an enforced break, but they're able to play at Brighton because the 14-day period extends. Brighton are in trouble. They've got a fighting points at Wolves. It's a game they can't afford to lose. But I think, if you look at Arsenal's record, I mean, they're creeping up the table. I know they're a little bit lucky against West Ham, but they've only lost 6 games all season. They turned some of the draws into wins. They're not far off that. Well, certainly 5th place at the moment. Certainly, with United have got that position and chasing 4th. But I think I wouldn't be surprised if Arsenal go there and get a good result by 1 goal.
Okay, you mentioned West Ham. They were unlucky not to get a point at Arsenal, I thought. Can they beat Wolves?
I think they can. I mean, Wolves are having to go really against their will to Greece tonight to play in the Europa. taking a strong side. And this is not that's not an easy game for them. They're not comfortable about going because of the Olympiacos chairman and owner who contracted the virus. I think it'll be a tough game for them. I remember watching Wolves win at West Ham last season, and West Ham seemed to have turned the corner. I mean, obviously one win and a couple of fighting performances, but I think they feel that this is a game that they could get a result, and I wouldn't be surprised if they do.
Okay, and last but not least, Tottenham at home to Man United.
Yeah, well, I can't see. I mean, United could probably do without a game tonight, obviously behind closed doors. Anthony Martial has not travelled. He's got a slight injury. I think it'd be key for them if he's back on for the game on Sunday. But I've got a feeling United could go there and win. You just can't see, with Stephen Bergwijn out injured as well, and there's talk he could be out for the season, or certainly for a big part of it. You can't see where Tottenham's goals are coming from. So I think United could edge that.
Yeah. Shame. I must say, I really feel sorry for Mourinho. When things go wrong, your best two strikers, and now Bergwijn, his best signing. So, but still, as United man, make the most of it. Steve, on to the Championship. The big game tomorrow is Fulham against Brentford. How do you see it going?
Yeah, it's a tough game. I mean, it's I think the Fulham and Brentford are probably the two teams. If anyone was going to catch the top two, it would come from one or other of those. Fulham are 4 points clear. It's a game that we need to win, but a draw wouldn't be the worst result if we think we're not going to get an automatic promotion place. It's going to be a West London derby, big atmosphere, and my heart says that I'd love us to win, but I think my head says I'd probably take a draw.
Score draw. Okay, on to Blackburn Rovers, who got dismantled last week by Derby against a Bristol City team that you drew 1-1 with. How do you see that one?
Yeah, I wasn't. I mean, I thought Bristol were okay, and I think we missed opportunities.
Yeah.
I think Blackburn might bounce back from that. So I think they were pretty disappointed with that result at Derby. They're not far adrift themselves. I don't think there'll be much in it, but I wouldn't be surprised if Blackburn maybe just edged that.
Okay, now two teams, Millwall versus Derby. Both seem to be good results last week.
Yeah, very good results. I mean, Derby had a little wobble, but have come back now with a couple of big wins.
Yes.
Millwall had a fantastic win at Forest. I mean, I don't think anyone saw that coming, especially the way they played and won convincingly. I think it's going to be a really, really big game because both teams are not that far off a playoff place.
Yeah.
I think it'll be a hard-fought draw.
Hard-fought draw, okay. Now, one team that's in the playoff mix but have been terrible, that's my boys Preston. Can we rebound and beat Luton?
Well, I think that's the sort of game. I mean, Luton actually are strong at home, as we know, and fighting to get out of it. I don't think that's an easy game, and I think Preston, sadly, are just not showing any real form just the last few games. I heard that from a QPR fan who spoke to somebody who was there, and he said the last 15 minutes, they completely crumbled Preston, even though they were up against 10 men. I think Preston would do well to get a point at Luton.
Yeah, I hate to say it, Steve, but speaking to my Preston guys too, they were so disappointed leaving that game. Was frightening. And last but not least, a big game on Sunday, Cardiff City against Leeds United.
Yeah, I mean, Leeds, they're top now, and I think they're going to take some catching. Obviously, strong away. This is a big game for Cardiff. They're not far adrift themselves. I think that I just can't see Cardiff beating them somehow. I think Leeds are just a little bit too strong. And in fact, there's a round of games this coming week, and Fulham are playing at Ellen Road on Wednesday night. So Leeds could pull away from the playoff teams. I think they'll win that.
Okay, and Steve, last but not least, your best bet and value bet.
Well, I'm going to go for QPR. I saw their evens against Barnsley, and they're having a good run. QPR unbeaten in 6. Again, I think because of what's happening in the playoffs, teams keep dropping points. You've got teams like QPR who were completely out of it. All of a sudden, they're only half a dozen points adrift themselves.
Yeah.
And Barnsley, since they win at Fulham, have wobbled, and they're 5 points adrift at the bottom. I think QPR will win that comfortably.
Okay, and your best value bet?
I'm going to go for Swansea. I think that they played very well, evidently, against West Brom, held them, could have won. Borough had a good win at Charlton, but that was their only win in 10. I'm going to go for Swansea to win there.
All right. Well, Steve, sad to say, I was hoping to see you tomorrow, but unfortunately, I didn't know your son was a bit of a punter. You told me he was at Cheltenham
yeah.
on Tuesday.
Yeah, so look, listen, he'll be good company and you'll enjoy it.
Let's hope so. Steve, thanks for your help, and we'll speak to you soon.
Right.
All the
Take
best,
care.
Steve.
Bye.
Cheers,
Yeah, Gav, this coronavirus doesn't look good, does it?
Yeah, I'm just a little bit worried about the financial implications of all these games being cancelled. I mean, there must be millions of pounds involved. I mean, not just in England, but I mean the whole of Europe. I mean, this is really becoming a major issue for all the sporting events and events down the line, like the Olympic Games and things like that coming up. So,
well, let's hope they can rectify everything and get it sorted out. We go on to the Premiership now, where we have an early kick-off, and it's Watford versus Leicester.
I like Leicester. I think Leicester, they showed their strengths last week when they played. I mean, Vardy's back in the goals again.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe he went 9 games without scoring. I think they took care of Aston Villa, of Grealish, because he makes Aston Villa tick. I think once they took care of him, the game was open and free for them to win. I think they'll do the same thing again. I think Leicester will win comfortably.
Yeah, I understand. I've got a doubt. Yeah, that's a man's team, that Watford. You know, I watched the game against Crystal Palace, who were unlucky. So Hart should have got sent off. 1-0 down, defended better, didn't attack well. At home, they've only lost to Everton, I think, in the last 7. I think 5-2 is a player, but I think there'll be action in this game. Now, Bournemouth, who I just can't get my head around, they're a little bit unlucky against Liverpool. I know the first goal that they got was a foul. They could have sneaked a point. Now, this is do or die for me at home against Crystal Palace.
I think both teams have been struggling of late. I think Bournemouth, they started so well against Liverpool. I thought, like you say, I thought they could have got at least a point out of the game. Crystal Palace, on the other hand, have snuck 2 1-0 victories for them. They've climbed up the ladder a little bit. Difficult team to beat, Palace. I mean, they've got some players that really get amongst you and stop you from playing your game.
Yeah.
I see a draw written all over this game.
Yeah, this is do or die for Bournemouth. They don't get a result here. I think they're gone, especially with the fixtures ahead. Now, Brighton play Arsenal. Arsenal, as Steve said, on a bit of a roll. 13-10.
But, you know, if you watched Arsenal last week, I mean, you were a fan of Arsenal.
Yeah.
They were in trouble. 6s and 7s, they couldn't get 2 passes together.
Yeah.
And the Brighton side that were fighting tooth and nail down the road. Again, I mean, Arsenal away from home, sneaking up the ladder. 13-10 is not a bad price. But I'm also, again, leaning towards the draw here.
Yeah, me too. Arsenal have drawn the last 5 away from home. 1-1, drawn 6 the last 7. You know, Brighton were well organised against the Wolves team, who I thought were certainties. Didn't give them many chances. I agree. I think a draw is a big player. Man City should surely be too good for Burnley.
Yeah, this is a one-way traffic. I think Man City, Pep likes to win games and put the pedal to the metal. I think Man City too strong for Burnley.
Yeah, I think also the Wednesday game being cancelled. You know, after United, I think he's going to mix and match, especially with the Champions League in midweek. I think he'll play his best team. This should be an absolute one, hiding. Now, Newcastle United, Steve Bruce got a great result at Southampton. Fortunate because Southampton had a player sent off. Sheffield United, tough to beat.
Tough to beat Sheffield United the whole season. Everybody says, no, they'll lose this week, and they get another result, and they're going to probably lose this week, and they get another result, and they've just been ticking over, and they're just sitting off the top 5-6 positions.
Yeah.
Newcastle, always tough to go to their ground and win. Big passionate crowd, 50,000. But Sheffield United, you just got to keep saying, well, I'll have a go at them again.
Yeah.
But 14-10 looks like a great price.
Yeah, I think a draw's a player. Newcastle went there and beat them 2-1. Remember, the linesman put his flag up and they carried on playing and he wasn't offside. I think 21-10 is a player here. I don't see Newcastle getting beat. It's a tight game. And also Sheffield United, a lot of their goals, like Liverpool, come from wide positions. Newcastle tend to block it. I like the draw in that particular fixture. On to our second page, where we've got Norwich at home to Southampton. Another must-win game for Norwich.
Yeah, I think must-win game for both of these sides. Norwich last week, again, putting their heads down, having the full go. Southampton getting a player sent off and then struggling. It's a tough weekend to put your head down and have a go.
Yeah.
You know, I would normally lean towards the home side, but I'm leaning to the home side win and draw in Norwich.
Yeah, I like goals in this particular market. You know, Southampton do have a go. They play 2 up front. Norwich, you've got to go for it. Both teams to score over 2.5 goals. That's my play. Now, one team that's got to get a result is Aston Villa. I don't think they will. How do you see it?
No, I think Chelsea, this is my best bet of the weekend. I think Chelsea 7-10, my best bet. Aston Villa were woeful the other night. And Leicester took care of Jack Grealish, and that was Villa done. They had no plan B how to combat the side. I think Chelsea 7-10 all day.
Yeah, I agree. But the only thing is the Villa Park atmosphere, they'll know. The players are disappointed. They fought hard against Man City, invisible at Leicester. I don't know, I think they'll put up a fight, but I agree. Leicester should win all day. Now, West Ham hosting a Wolves team have been complaining about the virus quite rightly in Greece. They play Olympiacos tonight behind closed doors. You think that'll affect them here?
It's just how you approach the games when you come to an empty stadium. You know,
Yeah.
the crowd carries you a lot through these games. And you get to a stadium which should hold 50, 60,000 and it's just empty. And everything echoes in the stadium. But Wolves last week, way below par. I mean, for a team that's trying to get into the top 5, top 6 and push on, they were woeful last week. West Ham also last week had enough chances to win the game and win comfortably, and they seem to fall by the wayside. With Wolves coming off the game during midweek, I think this game leans towards a draw.
Yeah, I think West Ham are my outside of the weekend. I like what I see. Yeah, they're unlucky. They just don't score many goals. I like Jared Byrne on the right. David Moyes has got them figured out. 2 English boys panel beating in the middle of the park. I worry about Wolves against the lesser teams. They can play well against the big teams because all their ball players. I sense or smell an upset here. West Ham all day for me. Now, Tottenham Man United, the special one against his old team. How do you see that one?
Well, just looking on the form of late of both sides, you'll be going Man United all day. But you know, Mourinho's always got a plan. Spurs, on the other hand, they've got a couple of injuries. The 2 boys up front, Kane and Son,
yeah.
they're missing now, so they can see it. That's hurting them big time. United missing Anthony Martial this week, who's come good of late. Not my favourite player, but he's getting goals for us. I'm leaning towards United in the draw, but I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it lands up in a draw this game.
Yeah, I agree. The one thing I'll say about Mourinho, tactically, he's not the worst. And I think he'll take care of Fernandes. I think somebody like Dyer may man mark him. Tough game, but 13-10 Man United is a little bit short for me. And last but not least is the Merseyside derby. Everton spring an upset?
The way Everton played last week and got beat by Chelsea, they were taken to the cleaners. But this is a big game. This is a huge game in Everton-Liverpool. Big derby game there. 7-2 Everton, big price. Ancelotti's done wonders with Everton since he's taken over. Liverpool hurting after this week's loss. You know, it could go Everton win and draw in this game. I think it's going to be a really tight game. Could be a physical game with a red card. There'll be a lot of chirping from the fans. I'm going to go Everton with the win and draw.
Yeah, I agree. I haven't liked, since Klopp opened his mouth about the FA Cup, we need a 10-day break. Liverpool haven't really played well. I know they won last night in 90 minutes. They don't look the same team. Everton unbeaten in 7 at home. And I think their 0-0 draw cost Liverpool the league last year. I don't see Everton losing this, but I think there'll be goals. We now go over to the Championship, where I'll go through it quickly. Fulham versus Brentford, London derby, as Steve said. I agree with him. 23-10 looks the right bet, but both teams to score for me is my play in that particular game. A Birmingham derby, the second city derby as they call it. West Brom have lost the plot lately. They were top of the league, going well, and facing their neighbours Birmingham City, who are actually on a bit of a roll. West Brom and both teams to score is my play. I think it was 5-2, but both teams to score looks an absolute sitter in that particular match. Now, Blackburn Rovers cost us dearly last time in our 16-1 Championship quad. They got murdered by Derby County. They lost 3-2, and by all reports were never in the game. I watched Bristol City against Fulham. They scored against the run of play, and I can't have Bristol City. I think Blackburn Rovers at even money is a good bet. Now, Huddersfield against Wigan. Wigan are unbeaten in 6, but Huddersfield at home have won 3 of the last 5, only losing to Leeds United at home. 12-10 is a bit short, but I don't see them losing to Wigan. So it's Huddersfield in the draw for me in that particular clash. The second page, I've got Hull City who haven't won in 11 league games. They're losing 9 of them against a Charlton team who have lost 6 of their last 7 away from home. It's 1-2-3 in all the exotics, but if you wanted to have a bet, 24-10 looks the right way to go. Luton Town against my Preston boys. My boys were woeful last week when we lost 3-1 at home to QPR. It was 1-1 with 25 minutes to go. QPR had a player sent off, and we ended up losing 3-1. How are we 13-10 against a Luton team who have won 3 and drawn 1 and lost 1 of the last 5 away from home? I think the betting's wrong. It's 1-2-3 in all exotics, but Luton in the draw, I hate to say it. Middlesbrough, come right. I watched them against Nottingham Forest. They were the better team by a long way. They conceded late when they drew 2-2. They beat Charlton away last week. And I know Swansea are a dangerous team, but they haven't won in the last 7 away from home. I'm going to take a chance and take the 14-10 Middlesbrough. Now, Millwall derby. Millwall was superb last Friday when they beat Notts Forest 3-0 at home. But likewise, Wayne Rooney's Derby County are on a bit of a roll. They're only 5 points off the playoff spots. I like Derby in the draw as much as Millwall are going well, but recently they've played better away from home than at home. They haven't won their last 4. It's Derby in the draw for me in that particular game, but it's 1, 2, 3. It should be in all exotics. Our final page in the championship, we've got QPR against Barnsley. QPR at even money look absolute sitters, especially if they play the way like they did at Preston last weekend. Barnsley are inconsistent. They've won 3 and drawn 3 of their last. They've won 3 and lost 3 of their last 6. Desperation team. They're in the relegation playoff. QPR and over 2.5 goals for me in that particular match. Reading Stoke City. Reading have only won 1 of the last 6 at home and playing a Stoke City team who've tightened up at the back. Seeing their English international Jack Butland is now performing. I don't see them getting beat, Stoke City. So it's Stoke City and the draw for me. Now, Notts Forest have buried me in several of my bets in the championship. Their best form, strangely, has come away from home. They've only lost 1 of the last 7 against the Sheffield Wednesday team who've only won 1 of their last 10 league games. 21-10 is a great price for me, Notts Forest, but because I've done my money on them, it's Notts Forest win and draw at 6-10. And finally on Sunday is Leeds United who are flying at won the last 5. They stopped conceding stupid goals. I know Cardiff at home a decent form, but Leeds United look the class of the Premiership, of the Championship, and 8-10 to me looks a good bet. We go on to our PSL. Gavin, midweek, Bidvest beat beat Black Leopards 1-0, and last night Sundowns beat Stellenbosch 1-0.
Yeah, I think both games were predicted. Sundowns pushing hard for the league.
Yeah.
Chiefs seem to be faltering a little bit. But we move into the cup competitions this weekend, so I can see a few changes to some of the teams. Yeah. But the Premiership side should be too strong.
All right. Now, just before we get on to the... it's 22-10, Sundowns to win the league.
Yeah, get on.
Get on. 1-3 Chiefs. So all you Amakosi fans who were disgraceful last week, hate to say it, cost us money again. The Nedbank kicks off at the Sugar Race Kulu Stadium in Claremont with Real Kings, who are 8th in the first division against Gavin's Bidvest.
Yeah, I think Gavin's team will just be too strong. I think they're just a little bit more physically, the strength-wise we played a high-tempo game.
Yeah.
And I think his boys up front are getting quite a few goals with a few headers. I think he just got too much class for Real Kings.
Yeah,
I think that's all day.
Done great, the local guys, but this looks a step too far. Yeah. Now, Baraka versus Black Leopards. They played last week. Baraka beat them 2-0. You see the same result?
Yeah, I see the same result coming. I mean, Baraka is always difficult to beat. But 2 teams that are quite evenly matched.
Yeah.
But I'm leaning towards the home side, Baraka, and they should get a result, yeah.
Okay, the tie of the round is undoubtedly Highlands Park against Sundowns.
Well, I'm looking at Sundowns making a few changes because I think Pitso would rather want to win the league. And his second side, if you can call it a second side, playing the cup competition so far. So I think there'll be changes in the Sundowns side. Highlands Park, for me, just don't seem to have the final pass. So I'm leaning towards Sundowns to finish the season strong.
Yeah, 22-10 looks the right play. But Gav, the 7 million for the winners. Why would you want to rotate your players?
Yeah, I think he's just come off the African Cup.
Yeah.
So he's going to rest a few players. They've been in Africa playing for a while now. Yeah. So he needs to settle down. And he has made some changes to his cup competition side. So I think, but Sundowns will be still too strong.
Yeah, it should be a good game. Now, TS Sporting host Bloemfontein Celtic. Celtic all day?
Yeah, Celtic, difficult team to beat. I mean, they got beat during the week as well. So
yeah.
It was a bit surprising to see the scoreline that they got beat. But you would lean towards Celtic to win the game. Once again, the Premiership side coming to the top.
Yeah, 6-10 does look a good team. Now, the outright betting. 18-10 Sundowns, 28-10 Wits, 4-1 Highlands, 6-1 Bloem Celtic, 12-1's Bar.
No, Sundowns all day for me. They'll win the competition.
All right, 18-10, eh? All right. We now go over to our Saturday soccer exotics, and we start with the soccer 6. I've gone Baraka, win and draw at home against Black Leopards. I've gone the field in the Brighton versus Arsenal game. I've banked Man City to beat Burnley. I've gone the field in the Newcastle Sheffield United fixture. I've gone Sundowns win and draw at Highlands Park because I think Chelsea will be too good for Aston Villa. 2-1-6. On to our second soccer 6. I've gone Bournemouth win and draw in a desperation game at home to Crystal Palace. I don't see Southampton losing to a struggling Norwich City. I think Blackburn will beat Bristol City. I've sided with Derby County to avoid defeat at Millwall. I don't see Stoke City losing at Reading. And last but not least, I don't see Nottingham Forest losing at Sheffield Wednesday, 192. On to our soccer 10, I've gone Barocca, win and draw at home against Black Leopards. I've gone Arsenal, win and draw at Brighton. I've banked Man City to beat Burnley. I've gone the field in the Newcastle United, Sheffield United and Bournemouth Crystal Palace matches. Our second page, we have Southampton, win and draw at Norwich. I've gone Sundowns, win and draw at Highlands, and ended up with 3 bankers. I think Bayern Munich will be too good for Union Berlin. I think tabletoppers Barcelona will win at Real Mallorca. And I have to go for Chelsea to beat Aston Villa, 288. On to the soccer 13, I've gone with Chelsea to beat Aston Villa. I've gone Arsenal, win and draw at home, win and draw away at Brighton. I think Man City will beat Burnley. I've gone Newcastle, win and draw at home against Sheffield United. I've gone Southampton, win and draw at Norwich City. I don't see Bournemouth losing at home to Crystal Palace. I think Blackburn Rovers will be too good for Bristol City. Onto the second page, I've got Notts Forest, win and draw at Sheffield Wednesday. I think Huddersfield Town will avoid defeat at home against Wigan Athletic. I've had to side with Charlton Athletic against a team that haven't won in 11 games, so Charlton win and draw at Hull City. I think Middlesbrough will beat Swansea, and I'm going with Wayne Rooney's Derby County to avoid defeat at Millwall, and ending up with QPR to beat Barnsley, 435. Our bets for the weekend, I've gone Chelsea to beat Aston Villa. I'm siding with West Ham to upset Wolves. I'm going Newcastle to avoid defeat against Sheffield United, and think Everton will avoid defeat against Liverpool on Sunday, 3,000 to 200. On the Premiership, I'm going over 2.5 goals. I think there'll be goals in Watford Leicester, Brighton Arsenal, Norwich Southampton, Aston Villa Chelsea, and Everton Luton, 18 to 1, so 3,600 to 200. On to the Championship. I think Middlesbrough will beat Swansea. I think QPR will beat Barnsley and both teams to score. And ending with Derby County to win or draw at Millwall, 2,600 to 200. Our both teams to score sides are Fulham Brentford, West Brom Birmingham City, Hull City and Charlton, Huddersfield Wigan Athletic, and Cardiff Leeds United, 3,300 to 200. On to Spain, where our quartet is Real Sociedad to beat Osasuna and over 2.5 total goals. I'm going for Espanyol to beat Alaves at home. And ending with the Sevilla derby, I've gone Sevilla to beat Real Betis and both teams to score, 2,800 to 200. Our six or Nexa, I've gone Chelsea to beat Aston Villa. I've gone QPR to beat Barnsley. I've gone Bayern Munich to beat Union Berlin. I think Real Sociedad will be too good at home for Osasuna. I think Valencia will beat Levante at home, and Sevilla to beat Real Betis, 3,600 to 200. Gav, you always love a punt. Who are you going for?
I'm going with Chelsea and Wits University local. I think that's a good bet. Should get around about 2 to 1.
Yeah.
I think if you want to add some extra teams, there's some good value out there this weekend. QPR even money. I think United at 13 to 10. But I'm sticking with Chelsea and Wits.
Okay, well, my best bet is QPR. After they destroyed my Preston boys late on last week, I think they'll be too good for Barnsley. And my best value bet is West Ham. I've liked what I've seen. They were unlucky to lose at Liverpool. You know, they played well when winning at home, and they were unlucky at losing to Arsenal. So 19 to 10, West Ham is my value bet of the weekend. To all you last one standing, guys, please, Saturday 10 o'clock is closing time. And to everyone else, please stay on side.